Coach Walski continued backing away. This time he didn't stop. All right, let's just play ball. Betty Bright snorted in disgust. Yeah, let's all play ball. She jerked her thumb toward the field, and we all hopped up. She pointed an angry finger at me. Get in that goal, fisherman. The return of Victor in the second half made a huge difference. Lake Windsor could no longer double and triple team Maya. Victor took control of the middle of the field, which meant we started to play the game up at their end instead of down at ours. Gino and Tommy still broke out with the ball and worked their plays, but I was always there. I saw each play as it developed. I thought one step ahead of them each time. Maya couldn't shake the crowd of defenders around her inside the penalty box, so she started coming out of the wings. She made a neat move with the ball to get loose in the corner. Then she crossed it hard and low, right across the front of the goal. Tino and a Lake Windsor defender both lunged for it and smacked into each other. The ball squirted through everybody and landed right at the foot of the one guy nobody was worrying about, Caesar Salad. He was wide open. He stopped the ball calmly and kicked it into the net. 2-2. We lined back up quickly. The battle for the middle heated up. The Lake Windsor players started to get desperate, started to kick the ball away. We were playing with confidence, and we took the clock on our side. Tommy and Gino were now going all the way back into their own end of the field to pick up the ball. They had to. They weren't getting any help from anybody on their team. They were their team. The referee was already glancing at his watch when they made a final charge. Tommy picked up a loose ball at midfield and looked for Gino. He drove a long, high, looping pass into the penalty box that Gino and Victor both went up for. They collided and twisted in midair. Victor crashed down on top of Gino, right at the penalty line. The referee blew his whistle. No, I thought. No, you can't call that a penalty. Both coaches came running into the field, Victor jumping up, screaming, I played the ball, man. I was going for the ball. But it was too late. The referee grabbed the ball and placed it on the penalty line, 12 yards in front of me. Coach Walski asked, how much time is left? The referee answered, this is it. He turned to Betty Bright. The penalty occurred right before the end of regulation. Yeah, sure it did, she snarled. She walked up on me. You ready for this? Yeah. What are you going to do? He always hits his penalty shots high to the left. That's where I'll be. She nodded, then she smiled, lowered her voice, and said, now I wish I'd given you more playing time. The players from both teams lined up outside the penalty box, everyone except Gino and me. He looked at me, touched the ball with his foot, and stepped back 3 paces. The referee blew his whistle. Gino's head snapped up, and he sprang forward. 1, 2, 3 steps. I catapulted myself into the air, high and to the left. But Gino didn't kick it there. He had fooled me completely. He went the other way with it. I was a fool, flying through the air. I was a fool, landing on the ground. I closed my eyes, buried my head in my arms, trying to block out the whooping cheers. Then I snapped my head up. It was Victor's voice that was whooping. I turned and looked back at the goal. The ball was not in the net. It was off to the right, and still rolling away, down into the sinkhole Gino had missed. He had missed to the right. The rest of the War Eagles mobbed me and hoisted me up. We all started jumping up and down and whooping together. I stopped and stepped out of the pack when Gino came over. He patted Victor on the back and said, congratulations. Then he put his arm around my shoulder and said, Mars, you were in my head on that shot. You made me miss. You made me choke. I shook my head vehemently. You didn't choke, Gino. You missed. That's all. He wasn't the least bit upset. It's cool. I don't mind. It's only a game, Mars. As he walked away, I was still shaking my head. I said out loud, but too low for him to hear, maybe it is to you. Spectators were out on the field now. Someone tapped my shoulder and said, good game, Paul. I knew it was Carrie, but by the time I turned around, she was already walking away with Kara. Joey wasn't with them. Louise Cruz pounded me on the back and said, I didn't know you were a goalie. Great game, great game. I said, thanks. I'm glad you think so. Then Mom was standing in front of me. She said, are you okay? Yeah. Now what does this mean, Paul? Are both teams champions? No, we're the champions. We have the better record. We're 9-0-1, they're 9-0-2. Oh, now do you want to ride home? No, I want to go back on the bus. That doesn't make sense, Paul. I'd have to follow the bus all the way over there, then drive you right back here. That's right, Mom. That's what you're going to have to do. She thought about it, then put her hands up in her mock surrender. Okay, I give up. I worked my way back toward the bus, shaking hands with a couple more Lake Windsor players. Mr. Donnelly called out, come over here, Paul. He and his photographer had set up a shot with Caesar and Maya. It was comical. Maya towered 2 feet over Caesar. Come on, we need you to balance the shot out. I shook my head. No, sir, it shouldn't be me. It should be Victor. Then let's get Victor, too. Where is he? Mr. Donnelly located Victor and posed the 4 of us for the front page tomorrow's sports section. When we all got back to the bus, the coach called out, "How many, Victor?" 15, coach." Betty Bright closed the door and turned to us. She pointed at us and said, "You're number 1. You're second to none." Victor grabbed Caesar from behind and shook him. He declared, "His name is Julius Caesar now, the Emperor of Rome." We pulled out of the Lake Windsor campus, whooping and yelling with our caravan of fans behind us. When we got to the downtown stretch of Tangerine, everybody in the row started honking horns and flashing lights. People came out of the shops along the main street. Cars pulled over and stopped to see what all the commotion was about. I'll never forget that ride home. When we got to Tangerine Middle, the bus doors opened, and the War Eagles got out to find their separate rides, to go their separate ways. I was the last to get off. I was crying when I finally climbed down the stairs with my shoes over my shoulder. I crossed over to the white Volvo. Mom looked at me funny. Maybe she was wondering why I was crying, but all she had to say was, "Well, that was quite a ride." I swallowed hard and managed to say, "It sure was, Mom. It was quite a ride." Thanks for coming by. Don't forget to like and subscribe.